Hey guys, welcome to my first attempt at making a long form video. I'm going to start this off just kind of explaining why I disappeared 2 weeks ago and I'm just coming back now. If you're not here for whatever reason to hear that, totally fine. I'll leave a timestamp up right now so you can skip to the good bit. For everybody else who is going to listen to this, I have had a few big things happen over the last 2 weeks, and then a minor inconvenience over the last few days that have all kind of compounded to make my YouTube schedule non-existent. So the first one is I just finished last week my first year at university, and so between final projects and exams and whatnot, that takes up a fair bit of time because it's the end of the semester. The other thing is I got a new job at a place that's just opening up, and so it's a lot of extra work because the place is now opening, and it didn't really have I didn't have the ability to say, here's when I'm available to work shifts. They just scheduled me and I had to make it work. So between those two things, I haven't had very much time to actually sit down and record footage and write scripts and edit and all of that good stuff. And so I just didn't, and I wasn't able to make videos. And then this video was supposed to come out a couple days ago, and then the first time I recorded it, I was sick, and so you could definitely hear it in the audio. I'll leave a little clip here. And it turns out that the issue is, yeah, like what you can hear from that, it's not great. It's a crime against humanity to make people listen to that for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, however long. So we're here now, and then as for a quick channel update, I'm trying to do 1 or 2 long form videos, long being, between 10 and 20 minutes. 1 to 2 long form per week. One will be this grind recap that's taking the place of the everyday shorts, mostly so I can have flexibility with my work hours and I don't have to rush some one day because I have work later that day and I don't have enough time to do everything. I want to give myself that flexibility so I actually make meaningful content and not I played for 10 minutes, I grinded credits, because that's not really worth anyone's time, and I'm sure it's not very entertaining. Then the other one will be something else related to kind of history video games. That's kind of where I want to take this channel in the future. I started off with World of Warships because that was kind of my hyperfixation at the point. And it still kind of is, and I'm definitely going to do more of that. But I want to throw in other games like Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts, Europa Universalis 5, Isanzo, maybe Hoi 4, games like that are based around history, but definitely, they're games that I like to play as well, and I'm sure a lot of other people like to play. And it's the kind of thing that got me interested in history, and the kind of thing that got me listening to the 130-hour History of Napoleon podcast that's not done, things like that, right? And so I kind of just want to go through and share all of the things that I find super interesting about that aren't strictly, game mechanics and the meta and whatnot, because I find it interesting, and maybe somebody else will too, and that's kind of cool. So that's all for the channel update. Thanks for you guys listening to that. For everybody else, welcome back. It's time for the actual update. So over the last 2 weeks, I have made a decent bit of progress on a couple of lines, and because of course I've also started some other lines. So first up is the Japanese battleship line. Right now I'm playing the tier 5 in that line, Congo. I would say it's a mid ship. It had, when I first got it in just the stock configuration, no equipment or research and upgraded modules, I hated the ship. The dispersion was rage baiting me. I would fire 8 shells at, 7k at a broadside cruiser, and I would get 1 overpen and the rest of the shells bracket or go wide. It was atrocious. I almost rage quit that line right there. And then I upgraded the one module, the aiming module, and apparently that just fixed the dispersion. Still not sure what that's about, but I've never seen that before, and now the ship is disgustingly accurate. So I'm not sure what that's about, but hopefully that's not a recurring theme. Overall, I don't know which end of the line I'm going to go towards, probably the bungo side, but I might also go down the Yamato side. I'm not completely sure yet. Next up is the Italian destroyer line. When I wrote this script a couple days ago and originally recorded it, I was on Turbine, which is the tier 4, but I have since gotten up to the tier 6, which is Aviere. A couple of things with that. Its gimmick is it has short range, but it does have sap shells, so it can kind of smash cruisers and farm pretty well also, but it has a really short range. It has a worse than average turning circle for a destroyer, but it goes super fast. It has a good engine boost. It has good full speed smokes. I'm quite enjoying it. Not that I'm amazing at it yet, but I could definitely see like the potential in it, and I'm really excited to see if I can maybe get good and enjoy those ships, because I can see that they definitely are like really powerful ships. I just need to learn how to play them well. I'm also retraining Luigi Sansonetti from Venezia to the DD line, mostly because the best talent that he has is the Confederate buff, and you could get that a lot easier with the destroyer because you just have a lot more options for, you know, zipping around and shooting different targets. You also have the, you know, you could torp people and get a fair amount of health or damage out of that. And also because getting one kill is something you'll get almost every game because you're immediately going and trying to kill the opposing DD. And Sansonetti gives a range buff for that, which, again, because the destroyer's biggest issue is range, that range buff that's almost guaranteed if you get, you know, a decent opening to your game is really good. And so I'm just gonna, I have to retrain him and everything, and I'm gonna have to train a new commander for Venezia. But I think overall it's worth it because of just how good Sansonetti is for those destroyers. Next up is the British light cruiser line. We last left off with me being on the tier 4 Dane, and I've since gone through both Dane and the next ship, Emerald, and both of them are, oh god, they have bad firing angles because they only have single turrets, and so a lot of them are midship turrets, which means you can't fire just over bow or just over stern. You have to show a lot of broadside to get all of your guns. Except for Emerald, which has a lot of those turrets, and wing turrets, which means you'll always have one turret that's just never going to be used, which is amazing. Also, single gun turrets just feel less accurate than double gun turrets. I think that's just a me thing, but I still hate it nonetheless. The tier 6, though, is Leander, which does feel better. It gets rid of the single turrets, and it has an actually decent turret layout. It's just the standard ABXY. And then AP only, which is kind of the gimmick for these, is that they have high DPM, but weak armor and no HE shells, so they can't do fires and farm with HE. AP only is actually not bothering me that much. The improved pen angles are nice. You could still, the short fuses are good too if you want to kill destroyers or go for superstructure. Overall, I quite like them, and Minotaur has the potential for like 700,000 DPM, which sounds very fun and very broken to use, so I am looking forward to that one. Next up is Chungking, which is Pan-Asian cruisers. It's a tier 5. These ships serve almost as like the opposite of the British light cruisers, where their main strength is spamming HE shells and starting a bunch of fires. They also have deep water torpedoes, which are really, really nice for stopping people pushing into you, and also just for getting in the extra damage that you might not have against ships like, you know, like Preußen, Slava, or not Slava, Sibir, like Kremlin, right? Ships that have armor that you can't penetrate with your HE shells. You could still, if they're pushing in on you, you're not hopeless. You could wreck them with deep water torps and torpedo reload booster. So you could just spit out like 20 torpedoes downrange in 10 seconds, and it's disgusting and very scary for the opponent. Next up, Minnesota. I've been grinding credits for this for a while, but being a fiscally responsible university student, I spent all of my money in the game on buying other ships and starting other lines, and so only recently have I actually saved up the 13 mil I needed to buy the ship. Right off the bat, unlocking the 6th equipment slot and Plotting Room 2, which is an American battleship unique, gives minus 11% dispersion, which is borderline broken. I mean, just look at Colombo, for example, right? Colombo it has worse Sigma and dispersion base, but it getting a 7% buff from the standard artillery aiming, and an additional 6% from its leg mod, right? So 12% total makes it borderline broken. Now picture that, but it's 1% less, but you also have a ship that has much better dispersion base and a higher Sigma. It's the consistency you get out of it is borderline broken, especially because these shells hit really hard, and they're still only 16s, right? 16-inch guns or 406s. Vermont goes up to 457s, 18-inch guns. So it'll just get even worse when we get to the end of this line. The shells are pretty floaty compared to most of the other ships that I've been playing in terms of battleships. So that's throwing me off my aim a little bit, but hopefully I'll be able to adjust to that pretty soon. Also, I've noticed that just the raw damage per salvo is pretty high. Even hitting like 1 or 2 shells, the damage isn't insane, but I'm still getting, 10k, 12k salvos with, on slightly angled ships or hitting ships that with only a few shells. So pretty decent damage too. And then lastly, not a ship, but I played a bunch of ranked matches and got up to the top of bronze 1. I started like a couple days ago, so I'm probably not making it further. And I also don't have that really any ship at tier 8 or tier 9 that I would say I'm good enough to really carry the team in, right? Like at tier 6, tier 7, I can definitely have like insane game impact as a Fiume, right? Because I can dead strike another cruiser from across the map, and that may or may not just win the game for my team, even if they do suck, right? Or like Ferruccio, right? Where I can, because I'm, decent at the game, I can kite and, drag attention away and stop the enemy from capping a point just by stalling them and farming damage on them, while my team all dogpiles the other flank. Right? I can have a lot of game impact in those ships because I'm pretty good in those ships. There's nothing really at tier 8, tier 9 that I'm like that good with, right? That I feel confident that I can totally make up for having a mediocre or a bad team. And that's kind of what you need to do in ranked, is not, you have to have very good game impact because your team a lot of the time just is bad. So I don't really have my hopes up to get up to silver, but hopefully, I'll probably just get a premium ship, a coal ship, or maybe probably just a coal ship, not a research point ship. And I'll pick one that I can play that I think would be pretty good in ranked. And like, by that point, there's plenty of tier 10s that I'm good in, right? I could get Incheon, I could play Venezia. Those are the big 2 I can think of just off the top of my head that I'd be pretty good in. Once I get to the end of some of these other lines, right, I could play Yue Yang, I could play Jinan, play Vermont, I can play Colombo. There's quite a few different ships that I can play at that top tier that I'm pretty confident in my ability to play really well in. So that's where we stand on ranked. Hopefully, it'll be a while, but, by grinding ranked, and then also doing the dockyard, and also doing the brawl missions to get that gold, I should be able to get the resources I need to buy a ship fairly soon, but then I should be able to actually go all the way up to the top in ranked relatively easily in terms of get to Gold 1. So stay tuned for that. Otherwise, that's all I really have over the last 2 weeks. Thanks for sticking around and listening to the whole video. Hopefully it was a decent video for our first attempt, and I'll see you guys in the next one.